Hello, welcome to the fourth video of Korra Month. We are approaching the end of Korra Month, my friends. So let's savor it. So this is gonna be the top 10 episodes that are the worst. I really didn't like these episodes, and let's get started. Number 10, Spirit of Competition, and the winner is. I combined these two episodes because they were kind of closely related to each other. These episodes weren't inherently bad. I enjoyed these episodes. They were stuff I really liked because it did move the story forward in a way. But when I do my subsequent rewatches of book one, I sometimes skip those two episodes because I don't really find them interesting. But they weren't really that bad. There's sometimes where I decide to uh there's sometimes I do decide to watch those episodes, but then there are other days where I decide, I'll just skip it. So that's it for those two episodes. All that they're bad, but I just didn't really enjoy them as much as the other part of the season. Number 9, Original Airbenders. Now this one I think I talked about in my book 3 video, but I didn't really like how they treated Tenzin. I kind of felt that they reiterated a plot development for that character. I mean, I think we've been down that road with Tenzin in book 1 and kind of book 2, so I don't know why they felt the need of going down that path again. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't a terrible episode. There was stuff I liked about that episode, but uh, the episode before it in this list, I really there are days where I might skip this episode and do a rewatch of it, but I mean not. Who knows? Number 8, The Calling. The Calling isn't necessarily a terrible episode, but I didn't really care for it, and it was kind of boring at times. Like, the only thing I liked was the ending, and really the Korra and Toph scene halfway through or so when she's talking to her about her past enemies and all that stuff. I really liked that scene and the ending. Other than that, The Calling was very forgettable and not an episode that I really put up that high. I mean, it was an episode that I sat there was like, this episode is kind of important in the series in the whole entire run, but it goes to like filler territory and non-filler back and forth, so it kind of plays on that line. But it's whatever. Number 7, Civil Wars 1 and 2. This one I think was kind of poorly written. I feel like that they underplayed the Civil War a lot because when I was watching the Civil Wars, I was like, oh, they're talking about a Civil War, but they never really showed us the Civil War or anything that made the stakes intense or something interesting about it. It was just kind of talking, and I kind of and again, like, the only part I liked about the Civil Wars was the Tenzin parts. That was the only thing that I really liked interesting. I liked seeing that dynamic between Tenzin and his fellow siblings. But the episode was just kind of sloppy with Unalaq and Korra and all that stuff. It was just kind of whatever. I just wish it could have been done a little bit better. Um, Number 6, Rebel Spirits. I didn't really like this episode that much. I only liked it in the sense that it was the first episode of the season, and I kind of liked the split of Korra and Tenzin. I did like that. Because that to me was realistic and believable, but I can't say that um, it was the best. It was done better because I think they kind of made Korra a little too arrogant in this episode, and I kind of there's a headcanon I have, which is just like, oh well, she is just arrogant because book one, after she took care of Amon, I mean, she really thought she was all that, so I kind of think that kind of fueled her arrogance a little bit. But again, I don't know how good the episode really is because it was just, I feel like it could have been done better. Number 5, Southern Lights. Kind of the same thing I didn't like about Rebel Spirits, but this one specifically, I feel like they kind of went a little too much trying to make Unalaq a known bad guy, because I feel like that his design is inherently bad because he looks like Tarlok, and I think if you have a character that looks like Tarlok, you're already putting him in a coffin. You're already putting him in a box that everyone can identify the villain, and they kind of made it a little too obvious. So that's my only issue with a major issue with something like that kind of detracted from the entire thing, because you're just like, don't open the portal. Obviously, bad stuff is going to happen, and guess what? Bad stuff happened. Number 4, Peacekeepers. This episode was okay, but it was just really boring because there was nothing but talking. There was really nothing that added fuel to the fire. It was just kind of like, okay, this is whatever. It really was just a way to segue to the 2-part beginnings episode. Other than that, this episode was really non-memorable. I did like Reiko in it because I feel that his stance on the whole thing was believable and realistic. But again, it was just really nothing but talking, and I just didn't think. And I had enough of talking at that point. Number 3, The Sting. I hated The Sting. I really thought that Mako was an idiot. Because to me it's like, I get that he had to rely on this gang and all that, but to not anticipate that these people would betray you, I think was a little stupid. Because I've seen this kind of stuff done before in other medias, but in other shows and comics and all that, but they do it in a better way, where it's like, well, we trusted these guys, but oh, they betrayed us. Well, at least we had a backup plan. People would always have a contingency plan for all that, and Mako was just like, okay, I'm gonna blindly trust these guys, and I just think that's a little dumb. There's some stuff I liked about this thing, but it wasn't enough for me to actually enjoy it at all. It was just a really dull episode. The only thing I liked was just Varric's face at the end. I really liked that kind of sinister look. Other than that, really forgettable episode, and I didn't really like it. Number 2, Remembrances. This one, I kind of feel like I should have put it a little bit lower on the list, but this one, obviously had a lot of budget problems. They slashed their budget, so they kind of had to make do. And they couldn't really do Embroidered Players again because that would require new animation, I guess. But they said that, oh, it's gonna be like the it's gonna be somewhat like the Summer Champloo clip show, and I like that clip. I liked that episode, but that one was really funny and interesting. This one was just kind of had robotic dialogue, especially with Mako. Mako sounded like a robot in that episode. It was just like, well, I felt like this, and this happened, and then when this happened, I didn't know what to do, and oh, this felt like this, and it was just like, I don't know if you need that much narration. And as much as I liked Korra's part, even that part felt a little sloppy at times. So really the only part of Remembrances that I really liked was Varric's part, obviously, because it was really funny. So I kind of wish that was the entire episode, but Mako and Korra's part were just kind of sloppy. Korra's part was marginally better than Mako's, because that at least highlighted her development in the season. Other than that, I didn't really care for Remembrances, but let's move on to number 1. The worst episode of them all, the one that I really wish never existed, The Guide. I hated The Guide. Worst episode by far. It is a chore to watch. This episode should never exist and should be burned and erased. I like Colin Heck. I like a lot of his episodes that he worked on. He did The Ultimatum. That's a really good episode, and he did a lot of episodes in Book 4, and I loved all his episodes that he worked on. The Guide is the one episode that I was like, how can he make this episode? This episode is the worst episode I have seen. It is boring, dull, and really not interesting. I can really literally go on and on and on how shitty that episode is. But the episode speaks for itself. It is the worst episode I have seen in the entire season. There was stuff I did like. I did like Tenzin, but that was really not enough to make me hate the episode any less. So those are my top 10 worst episodes of Korra. Feel free to submit your opinions below. I'll be interested to see what your most hated episodes of the season, and maybe we get some discussion going. So that's it for this video. See you in the last video of Korra month. See you then.